Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome back to another Supergirl episode review. My thoughts on tonight's episode of Supergirl titled Exodus. And I thought this was a really good episode. And I think it's a lot more of Kyler Lee's episode, more so than even Kara's or anyone else's. And I just really enjoyed this episode because it was, again, story driven. There's a lot of action. There's a lot going on between the aliens being abducted. He had a lot going on, we know, with Alex and Jeremiah, and Alex is like, and how because of her trust with Jeremiah, people aren't trusting her judgment. So I feel like there's a lot of conflict there between all the different characters, especially between her and Jean, her and Kara, and then Kara had her storyline going on in the episode of trying to get the story out there of the alien refugees being taken and being sent back to their home planets, and that ultimately got her fired from Catco. So I'm really, like, again, a lot happened in this episode. I really enjoyed it, and I gotta say, you guys know I've made it very clear in the last few weeks that I hate the Mon-El character, and I hate that they've only really introduced him into the show just to be a love interest. And you guys know, I've hated his character and what they've done so far, and how they've pushed James aside, especially in this episode where he's been gone for like 3 episodes, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he's barely in it. And he has like one scene as Guardian, cool nonetheless, but still, it's like you introduce him as a hero in this season just for him to be sidelined again by the white love interest for the female character. I have a problem with that, but my whole point is that I didn't hate Mon-El this episode because he was just there ultimately to be emotional support for Kara. So he didn't really have like anything to really do other than that. So in that aspect, I didn't hate him as a character or anything because there wasn't really much to hate or much to really like. So again, I didn't mind him in this episode. So if he's used sparingly, I think I'll be able to get used to him and not hate him as much as I do. It's when they shove him down our throats and when they make him such an asshole and such a sexist character that's when I'm like, okay, why does Carl even like him? What all they do is fight. So what is, like, why does she think it's a good idea for them to be together when they have, other than superpowers, like, almost nothing in common, and there's, in my opinion, no real chemistry between the two of them. So again, I didn't hate him in this episode, but that can change next week, especially with next week's episode is going to heavily feature him in his backstory, because it's pretty much confirmed now that he is actually the Prince of Daxam. And we saw at the end of this episode, Kevin Sorbo, I think is the actor's name, and Terry Hatcher, who played Lois Lane in Lois and Clark, along with Dean Cain. So she's going to be in next week's episode, obviously with the DTs at the end of this episode. So it'll be cool to see her. It's weird seeing her in like a villainous role, considering the last time we really saw her in a Superman-related property, she played Lois Lane's mom in Smallville in an episode. And I felt like that was a really good fit because it was almost like a passing of the torch for Erica Durance in Smallville, as well as just it was an emotional thing to have. Whereas in Supergirl, she's really there just to kind of be like a villainous kind of character, from what I can tell. And so I'm excited for it. It'll just be different from what I was necessarily expecting when they said that she was going to be on the show. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. And to be honest, I've said it before, I haven't loved what they've done with Kara's storyline with Catco this season. Because ever since they had Clark in the first couple of episodes, all of a sudden, Kara's like, oh, I want to be a reporter. That's my calling. Just because Clark's a reporter, they had to make her one. I never liked that. And I'm not saying that she should have stayed an assistant, but it's like, whatever happened to her, like, having her own office, and whatever happened to her, like, having, like, her own story outside of Clark, and yet she's kind of copying Clark's story in that aspect, like, no pun intended, because she's a writer. But her losing her job, to me, I feel like I didn't care as much as I should have, because I feel like her having that job didn't feel like earned to me. Because she just got it because Kat said, oh, pick a job, any job. It could be whatever you want. And then she chose a reporter, and then she never made being a reporter being that much of a. It wasn't as much of a focus to her. Like, at least to me, like, say what you want about the DC Extended Universe or whatever, but I think Henry Cavill's portrayal of Clark Kent, especially within Batman vs Superman, where he's trying to do the right thing and to, like, follow the stories that need to be told, and he's trying to be a good reporter, whereas Kara is trying to do the right thing, but she's like sacrificing the parts of being a good reporter that would make her stand out more again as a good reporter. And yeah, he had Snapper say that he was always rooting for her, but she never put being a good reporter as well as doing the right thing in the same focus for her. So that's where like her storyline with Catco this season I just thought hasn't been great, especially since there's been a lack of presence from Cat Grant as a character and Callista Flockhart. So I think because of Callista Flockhart not really being there and them sidelining James this season, they haven't really had much of a focus on Kara Catco this year. So it's just, I don't know, I feel like you might as well not even have Catco at all in the show, especially now that Kara doesn't even work there, and the writers don't even care about what James anymore, it seems like. So it's just like, I don't know. Like, I could really, like, again, I'm not, like, emotionally drawn into her getting fired. Like, so that's why, like, I'm not, like, oh, I feel so bad for Kara. Because, like, honestly, I don't, because she wasn't that good a reporter, to be honest. So, those are just my thoughts on that. Obviously, I got to get into the meat of the episode with Alex and her trying to, to get Jeremiah and to, like, take down Cadmus and, save the aliens and stuff. Obviously, she was very emotionally compromised in this week's episode, as well as last week's, because of Jeremiah coming back. And ultimately, we're trying to slowly find out what Jeremiah's, like, what his motivation is, And in this episode, you see that he does end up choosing Alex over Cadmus, but after his fight with Cyborg Superman, we don't really know what happens to him. At least I don't think so. Like, if I missed something, let me know in the comments. But I feel like the scenes she had with Dean Cain's character, I thought were handled really well. Alex has been one of the standout characters for me in this season. Kyler Lee has done an amazing job giving us, showing that there's so much more to Alex. And I'm so happy that, she's in a healthy relationship right now with Maggie. Especially since last year, like, they, like, teased her being with Maxwell Lord. And, God, I would have hated that. And for anyone who watched my reviews for first season, I mentioned it a couple times, I hated that idea. And now Maxwell Lord doesn't even exist in the show anymore, so, whatever. But this was Kyler Lee's episode. It was her, like, emotional journey through the episode that led her to, even though she was emotional, she did go out on her own against the orders of Jean Jones, that she did end up kind of saving everyone. Obviously, with the Kara helped, and she was only, like, who, like, stopped the ship and was able to save the aliens. But if it weren't for Alex, we wouldn't have gotten to that point in the episode. And as a little side thing, I've mentioned the last few weeks, the Lyra and Wynn romance is something I've really enjoyed. And I've seen some people saying, like, oh, I don't really care for it. I think it's nice for Wynn to have a life outside of the DEO and even outside of, like, Catco. Because, like, last year, he was just pining after Kara, and other than that, there wasn't really much he could really do. Except when they brought him into the DEO, that made him a little more interesting. He almost kind of became, like, the Cisco Ramon of the show. I mean, he always kind of has been, but now he's able, again, to have a life outside of the DEO. And I think his romance with Lyra, or Lyra, whatever, or however you pronounce it, I happen to like it a lot. So having some romantic moments in this episode I thought were really nice, and have James kind of be his wingman in the episode for the couple of scenes he was in. But I'm liking what they're doing that so far. It's a slow burn, and I'm happy for Wynn as characters, because again, I just like seeing him happy, and it's not a romance that's like a main storyline for the show. So it's like he just it's one of the side characters that they want to shed some light on his personal life, and that's perfectly okay with me because it's a character who's really grown on me, and I really like him a lot. Other than that, I mean, I really enjoyed this episode. If there's anything I missed, again, let me know in the comment section below. I think with that being said, that's going to be it for me. So what did you guys think of this episode? Send your thoughts down below. I will be reviewing The Flash tomorrow night, as well as This Is Us with my girlfriend Amy. Arrow's taking a week off after last week's really big episode with the reveal of who Prometheus is. And I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who doesn't watch Arrow or who isn't caught up on Arrow, so you guys can check my video out once you guys are caught up. Other than that, and on Wednesday night, I will be seeing Kong Skull Island. So you guys should be expecting a review of that either late Wednesday night or Thursday morning. You guys should check that out as well once that's up, as well as any other content I put up in the next week or so. So yeah, again, with that being said, that's going to be it. So thank you guys for watching, and until next time, have a good one.